Elsa Bloodstone is an absolute monster in CAV-EQ. How's it going, everybody? robvonshoe here. I've got my 6-star Elsa Bloodstone, and this is going to be 6 solos of the 6 Cavalier Quest EQ bosses for August 2021. Starting off here with SENTRY. Now, SENTRY here has the fun node where you heal if you're close to him, and you degen if you're far away. If you don't wind up throwing alternating hits, he winds up going unblockable, and his specials are unblockable as well. Fortunately, Elsa Bloodstone winds up getting a nice big damage increase. It increases her crit damage rating whenever she goes against the boss of a certain quest. So for all 6 of these, she's going to have increased crit damage output. Since SENTRY is also a science champion, Elsa winds up dealing extra crit damage on her mediums. The mediums are what throw the debuffs. They incinerate or cold snap, depending if the opponent is immune. It's an annoying fight, and you wind up degenning an awful lot because you got to avoid the unblockable, but because she's got the double advantage right there, it's an easy peasy KO. Nice! Next up in Cavalier difficulty is Carnage, and of the 6, the Carnage fight here is the easiest. Each time he has an armor up, he goes unblockable, so effectively because Elsa does not have an armor break as part of her kit, he's going to wind up being unblockable for this entire fight. I've got this sped up just because it's really straightforward. You go in, you bait out special attacks, you punish the special attacks. I can throw whatever specials I want and wind up stacking up some nice incinerates. Overall, it's a really fun, spammable fight, and he goes down super quick. It's an easy KO. What I'm doing right here is throwing the special 3. What the special 3 winds up doing is giving me 3 extra cruelties for added damage, and so long as I keep alternating my cartridges and expending them, I can keep those cruelties going. Now, up next is the DARKHAWK fight, and this one on its face seems like it could be pretty challenging. Somebody's going to be going unstoppable every few seconds, just depending on if you're close to the opponent or not. If you knock him down, he goes debuff immune, he gets a huge evade ability accuracy boost, and auto block, which is super annoying. He gets extra power, a bunch of annoying stuff if he gets knocked down. And that's where Elsa Bloodstone really shines, because you do not need to knock this dude down to inflict a bunch of damage. Not only does she have her end of quest increase to her crit damage, but I'm able to alternate light ending attacks for the busted debuffs to increase the potency of my incinerates, and the mediums, which wind up boosting those incinerates already anyway. So that's all this fight is. It's just I need to keep my eye on the timer for the unstoppable. I get backed in the corner right there, which is a little annoying, and fight my way out. I'm not going to be throwing any specials this entire time, but just alternating between the light ending combos and the medium ending combos, and letting the energy damage from those debuffs do a lot of the work for me. Winds up being a pretty straightforward fight. Overall, for this fight, I do not have Assassin turned on. I'm running damage masteries for most of these to get Elsa's degen going at the start of the fight, which is a nice little boost as well to the damage output. And really the most challenging thing about this fight is just waiting out that unstoppable timer. It's nice when I go unstoppable, I don't really ever need to use that, but making sure that he doesn't get it either. And just like that, DARKHAWK goes down. Which leads us to the Spider-Man 2099 fight. Now, this is one of the featured champions this month, so of course they want to throw a bunch of extra fun stuff on him. He's got Mighty Charge, which is one of the most annoying nodes to have for this and for Elsa. But he also regenerates if you dash back twice as well, which winds up adding up. So what I want to do here is to stay aggressive. Elsa has 2 benefits because Spidey is a science champ and he is the boss of the quest here. So I get the added damage output. And what I want to do is try and stay on the offensive. The only time I go on the defensive is when I'm baiting out specials, because I do not want that to stack up. And just try and keep those debuffs on him for as long as possible to maximize the amount of damage that I deal. So it's going to involve a lot of blocked hits. I'm still learning Spidey's animation, so I get clipped a couple of times here, which is okay. It winds up working out. And the rest of it is just like, biding my time and letting the debuffs do their thing. If Spidey needs to hit into my block a couple of times because he's backed up against the wall, well, that's fine too. Gives me a couple seconds more of having that incinerate tick down. I do need to be careful, though, of the various different ruptures that he has and he can dish out. So I do wind up taking a bit of direct damage that way. because of his nonsense hitting into my block. But in the end, it winds up working out because my debuffs are better. How do you solo Rogue in Cavalier EQ with Elsa Bloodstone? Well, by being patient. So this is what we got right here. Rogue is the final boss of one of the quests here for the August edition of Cavalier Quest. Now, Elsa does have class disadvantage, but she's got advantage, of course, because Rogue is the final fight on the path, so got a nice little crit damage output right there. Rogue has Rising Sun, which means that I get Fury buffs each time I wind up hitting Rogue, but if I don't throw a heavy attack by the time I reach 10 Furies, well, then that doesn't go well for me. She goes unblockable for her special attacks, so got to pay attention to that, and unstoppable for her heavies, so I can't punish her on those heavies very effectively. The one downside of this fight is that there is teleporting galore, so I feel like there's a couple of times when I should have been backed up far enough, and by her throwing a heavy attack, it should have whiffed, but didn't, so that is unfortunate. Case in point. Overall, it's a really straightforward fight. I just got to be careful because of the class disadvantage and because of the Rising Sun. I also can shrug off a bunch of non-damaging stuff, which is fantastic, unless it's a permanent non-damaging debuff, which is pretty annoying. I got Bubble Shield right now turned on, which means for every, 10 hits, I believe, that I block, the 11th is unblockable, which is not going to go well for Elsa. I don't have Damage Masteries turned on, so my attack is a little bit decreased over what it could be. I got class disadvantage, which means even if I did have them turned on, I wouldn't get that nice little degen at the start. It all works out okay because I'm able to throw specials without worrying about recoil, and I was worried going into this fight that I would need as much health as I could possibly get. Right there I got the degen timer from Rising Sun. That's a little annoying, right? But, you know, we're making it work. Now here's the nice thing about this fight. This fight has True Strike turned on, which means that Elsa can't do that nice little evade that she gets on parry. However, because I've got the Tiger synergy, not only are my debuffs adding extra damage, but because this is the final fight on a quest, it just ignores that node altogether, which means Elsa can do that parry as much as she wants to her heart's content, which is fantastic because that buys me a lot of extra opportunities to attack and avoid some of that bubble shield nonsense as well. Overall, this fight, it was very straightforward. It was unfortunate for the teleporting, but it was really cool to see just how much damage Elsa can do with class disadvantage. Now, last up for this month's Cav EQ is Peni Parker. She is one of the new featured champions who's going to be an annoying defender to begin with, but she got extra nodes too. So worst off is kinetic transference. So every time I block a hit, she winds up getting a bunch of power, which is super annoying. She gets armor ups every few seconds, which just adds to her abilities. And outside of the opening salvo, she goes pretty much auto block all over the place. Elsa's got no way to remove any of those buffs or any of those armor ups, which is very unfortunate. And I was kind of at a loss for what I was going to wind up doing to beat this boss, because not only am I just succumbing to chip damage, but each time I go into attack, then I get auto blocked, and then there's the power burn, so I take a bunch of damage that away. And you know what? The best strategy for this, well, it's twofold. First of all, you know, it's the same bit where Peni is the final fight. It's an XL champ, so then my light attacks deal extra damage too, which is a nice plus. And the rest of it is just using my health sort of as a weapon, I suppose, to just go in and take the power burn damage to wind up getting through that shield and being able to deal a little bit extra damage. I am boosted for this fight, so there is that. I'm able to do some extra damage that way. And what I want to do is just go in and try and deal as much damage with my debuffs as possible. I've got Cold Snap up right now, which is you know, a big plus, and we are neck and neck. But at the end of the day, Elsa comes through clutch and gets the KO. She is an amazing champion. I highly recommend ranking her up. That's going to do me for today, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time. I'm robvonshoe. Be well, everyone.